guys, Melissa, are you able to see my screen just for a quick check?
We can see it. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Melissa. Hey, everyone. My name is Joey Grammatico. I am with I-CAR. I am a product manager on the education side. I also work with shops as well for entry-level technicians. I have our friend Alexa here, who's also part of the team, and we want to give you an update on what's going on with I-CAR Academy specifically for schools. We have a pre-apprenticeship program coming later this year for high schools. And then we also have the Collision Careers Job Board, which is an opportunity for students to present themselves to shops and build a profile and look for opportunities in their area. So I'll be going through this. And as Melissa mentioned, if you need to ask questions, you can ask that in the Q&A on Microsoft Teams. Okay. The pre-apprenticeship program. So we have gotten a lot of feedback from educators and administrators and school programs, and even from the industry as well on the shop side about a pre-apprenticeship program for schools. So what will our pre-apprenticeship program look like? What it's going to be, everyone, is really an introduction to students at the high school level, an introduction to collision repair, because as you all know, as educators at the high school level, they may not be sure, or they're most likely not sure what they want to do as a career. When you get to the community college level and the CTE level, there is a level of commitment there in taking those courses in their career. But at the high school level, they're still trying to feel it out and what they want to do. So at I-CAR, we're going to provide schools with a pre-apprenticeship badge, and that will entail some lessons, just a subset of lessons, maybe 10 to 15 lessons for these schools to provide to students on just an introduction, right, to collision repair. So there'll be lessons that are existing within the I-CAR Academy curriculum, and there'll be overview and introductory lessons. For example, we'll have lessons like an EV lesson or an introduction to welding, right? Or ADAS, something to really spark the interest of these students, and then see if this is a career they want to pursue. So high school programs currently utilizing the I-CAR Academy curriculum will be able to participate. And then students who complete the program will earn a badge, just like they do with the other badges. They'll earn a pre-apprenticeship badge, and they'll have a certificate of completion. And I know certificates are very valuable in the education world. And then the school itself, so your school, if you're participating, will also receive a certificate saying, my school is participating in the pre-apprenticeship program as well. So students will receive a certificate who complete the program, and schools will get a certificate as well. There's additional benefits to the pre-apprenticeship program other than just an introduction to collision repair. There's going to be some resources, some free resources available to the schools that we'll work with you on to enhance soft skills of students, maybe some interviewing courses, resume building courses, things of that nature that will collaborate with the schools and provide those free resources. Also, we will facilitate the connections between the shops in the area and the schools participating in this program. We want to use it as a gateway to an official registered apprenticeship program at a shop that I-CAR currently offers. So maybe you have students who are going through the pre-apprenticeship program and they earn the badge. We'll work with you and we'll link you up with shops, if there are shops in your areas who are currently participating in a registered apprenticeship program. And this could be a potential opportunity for those students after high school to go into an official apprenticeship program. So I touched on this already, some of the benefits. So students will receive certificates of completion along with badges that they can take with them, and they can have the certificates. And I know for schools that drives funding with additional certificates. So there's more opportunities there. And then working with those registered apprenticeship shops, creating those linkages and putting students in registered apprenticeship programs in shops and accelerating their careers. So, okay, what this is for high schools only, but what if I'm a CT post-secondary level and I'm interested in something like this? Please reach out to your I-CAR representative within your area, and we would love to link up schools with shops who have registered apprenticeship programs. I believe in over 40 states right now, we have about 160 repair facilities participating in the Department of Labor approved registered apprenticeship program. And we'd love to link up schools with those shops to find opportunities for those students. So please reach out to us. We'll help you with that. Okay, that was everything on the pre-apprenticeship program. That is something we are looking and launching later this year. And we're excited to launch that. And we'll have more information as it gets closer. Collision careers is also something I wanted to talk to you all about, right? So it's getting, maybe students have already graduated. I know our local high school here is graduating next week. So graduation is upon us, and this is the time when students are looking for career opportunities after they graduate either high school or post-secondary school. So what we've done on Collision Careers is we have created a job board where candidates can create profiles and actually become visible to employers. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and then I'm going to jump over to my browser, and I'd like to do a demonstration on collisioncareers.com. So here is the link here, and then I'll post it in the chat later, or Alexa, if you're able to, please post it in the chat. This is Collision Careers. Collision Careers is an industry neutral resource that is aimed at helping folks get into the industry, or if already, at a school, finding opportunities at a shop. There's some resources here for you as the educator. If you want to inform students on the different roles potentially for them, thanks Alexa. If you want to point maybe a parent to this website to learn more about the industry, or you're interested or you have some career changes that came from maybe a military background, or students and graduates, which is your realm there, or education counselors, there's different resources for these different demographics. There's Q&A, there's documents here you can download and use as a career fairs. There's a lot of resources here. The resources for the students and the candidates here, one is actually find a shop or a school, and I'll get to this login button later. But students can use this, and they can click that, and they can enter in a zip code or a city. This is my local area. I'm over here in California. And then you can find schools within the area. So maybe somebody is looking, maybe they're about to go into high school, or they just graduated high school and they're looking for additional programs or additional collision repair programs. They can select what they're interested in, so shops or schools. Maybe I'm ready to jump straight into a shop after school and find a career. I can select shops, and then it'll show me, it's a decent amount here, it'll show me all the shops in the area here. You can zoom in, and it'll tell you a little bit more about those shops. If I'm interested in going to a school with a collision repair program, I can click this. I can select the mileage depending on how close or how further away I want to commute. And then I can view these schools. Some schools have websites I can jump straight to. Some have phone numbers as well. So this is a good resources for those looking to get into schools and finding those schools. Now back to this login button. So for a student who's looking to put themselves out there to shop, right? I'm ready to work. They can log in here and they can create a Collision Careers profile. I already have one created, so I'm going to log in. And then students will be able to build a profile based on their credentials and what they've done. So you can see I've built a profile here. This is my name, my location. You can fill out what you're looking for. So I'll click this. I'm a student, maybe I just graduated high school. I can select, hey, I took some ADAS courses, I really liked it. I also took some repair planning estimator courses, I'm interested in that. You can select the different roles you're interested in that and save it, and then potential employers will actually see that, and they can filter on that. Also, your employment preference, right? Maybe I'm ready to work full-time. Maybe I want to go to post-secondary school and work part-time and get some experience. I can select that. Or maybe I'm interested in an apprentice level, and then those shops that have registered apprenticeships will see that and be interested in me as well. Then I can fill out this other information, such as about me, tell the employers a little bit about yourself. You can enter in your information for your education and the programs you attended and when you graduated and the degrees you've earned, if any. We know some students won't have work experience, right? Maybe they're in high school and they don't have work experience yet, but some do. You can put that no matter what it is. Those are all valuable skills with whatever you did. You can use that for any career. So even if you have retail experience, you can put that and state that you have, customer relation experience, things like that. A really cool feature with this Collision Careers job board candidate profile is students who are using I-CAR Academy can click this button and they can actually they can enter in their I-CAR ID and they can enter in the email they associate with that I-CAR ID, the email they use when they create that account, and hit connect. It'll populate all the badges that student earned while utilizing I-CAR Academy. So your students, they're using I-CAR Academy, they're earning badges. All they have to do is plug in the I-CAR ID and the email associated with that. And it'll populate these badges. It'll also populate all the skills associated with those badges. Somebody who does collision repair fundamentals. It looks like Steven's having issues seeing the content. If a student has completed the classic repair badge, the badge will populate here, and then it'll automatically populate all the skills they've learned completing that badge. And maybe students have other skills and credentials. They can plug that in manually. If they have credentials SB2 or ASE or things of that nature, NC3, they can plug that in here as well. So these students can fill out all this information. They can build a really nice profile. They can also state the location they're interested in. And so maybe I'm interested in being in this area of Florida within 25 miles. Maybe I'm willing to relocate and I can enter in another location, right? Maybe I'm honestly ready for any opportunity. I can just select open to work anywhere in the US. And those employers who are looking for candidates across the United States will see me. If I just stick with this Florida search in 25 miles, any shops within this radius who are participating in the job board will see my profile. Then I have everything filled out. You can see up here, I have all my checks. I can select publish. And then once I hit publish, this profile is available to those employers. So they'll log in and they'll see me within a search. They'll see my image. They'll see my basic information. They can view my full profile. Another really cool feature about the Collision Careers job board is it'll take all the information that you entered here and it'll generate a PDF for you. So you can see it's generating here. I'm going to refresh it. And then it built me a fully built PDF resume, just like this. So all that information I built, it took that and it nicely formatted a resume for me with all my information. I didn't have to do anything. I know it can be a challenge to build out resumes for younger students, but this takes out all the effort here and it automatically does it for you, which is really cool. So even if you're not interested maybe in applying to positions, you can still go through this publisher profile and build a resume and then have that in your back pocket and use this, take this to shops, download it and use it when you're applying to other positions. So once you publish this profile, as I mentioned, the shops who have built their own shop profile will see your profile and then they will reach out to you via message or the contact information you put here and reach out to you about a potential opportunity. So this is something we launched later last year. Right now we have about 170 candidate profiles built, and that's also increasing as well. So I know I went through that pretty quick, everyone, but just to recap here, if you go to collisioncareers.com and students can click create a profile. And once they get here, they can build up a profile that I already have built out, and they can select publish, and they will get a resume. And they'll also be visible to potential employers in their area. So that's everything I wanted to cover today. I will stop sharing here, and then I will open it up to Melissa and see if there's any questions from anybody.
I don't see any questions yet, but please feel free to put them in there. And while we're waiting on that, I always ask the presenters, Joey and Alexa, just in very general question, because there might be some students on here, learning about the I-CAR curriculum. What advice would you have for, students that are studying collision repair today?
Ooh, that's a good one. Alexa, do you want to take up? So Alexa went through a collision repair program. I went through a mechanical program. Alexa, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, one one piece of advice that stuck with me when I did actually an apprenticeship at a restoration shop was to always keep learning, and that so I was considered the new dog at the shop, and a gentleman who had been there for a long time, an A-Tech, he told me, new dogs can learn old tricks. And that idea has always kind of stayed with me in any position that I've ever worked, in any body shop that I worked at. And it's always like, you don't know everything. There's always different ways to try new things, and take advice from everybody.
All right, thank you, Alexa. Sorry to put you on the spot.
You're good.
That's great. Mine's a little corny, but it's kind of something I've stayed true to is a positive attitude can go a long way. You can have all the skills in the world, but ultimately, when you're looking for a career and you're talking to these shops, they're really looking for a positive go-getter attitude. And if that's something that you can show, they can take that and run with it, and they can teach you the skills you need later. So I think a positive attitude goes a long way.
I love that. Thank you both. Someone says, I have freshmen through seniors. Do you recommend me starting a resume at the freshman level or wait until a junior or senior?
Good question. Okay, so one thing to note, good question, Jason. Actually, a point is, so I showed how the students can connect their I-CAR ID and their email, and then it populates the badges. As soon as students earn badges, that automatically updates. So they don't have to go in there and update that. So I don't think it's a bad idea to start that maybe at the freshman year, and then senior year before they graduate, I'd go in there and make sure everything's final and cleaned up, especially because they're going to update their education. So I see no harm in starting at the freshman level. The I-CAR content will update automatically as they learn and progress through the I-CAR Academy curriculum. So ultimately, it's up to you, but I see no harm in starting at the freshman level and building out your profile, entering information about yourself, and then doing a final check before you graduate to make sure it looks clean.
I apologize. I was on mute. What is the most common question you guys get from educators that maybe everybody might have on their mind but not know that
Ooh,
they need to know that?
that's a good one. Um, I I get a lot of feedback from educators from you all, and it's greatly appreciated. And we build the products based on the feedback that you give. One of the most um common items I guess I get for feedback is I would love to integrate with my learning management system, my LMS, and we have taken that feedback into consideration, and we are currently working on a solution to integrate with LMS systems for different schools out there. We're starting with the most popular ones, such as Canvas, and working on it integrate with those LMS systems, and then we'll move forward with others after that. So I don't have a defined date on when we'll release that, but I just want to let everybody here know that your feedback, your voice has been heard. We know it's a pain point to take the grades in Academy and then have to plug them into the LMS system. So we're working on a solution to make your lives easier and integrating with LMS systems.
I love that. That's a great one. And anything else coming up that they maybe a future feature or future product that might help educators?
We're currently working on a few items here. We are working on Spanish translations for our content. So for the base curriculum, the first 5 badges, we are currently working on translating that content into Spanish, and we hope to release something by the end of the year. So for those who teach in Spanish and the students consume content in Spanish, that's something we'll have available by the end of the year.
Wonderful. What other questions does everyone have? I feel like I'm always getting questions directed toward CREF, and I always pass them along. Oh, what is the best way to reach I-CAR if they have any concerns about curriculum, questions, comments, feedback?
Absolutely. So I'm going to throw something back up on the screen here, and then I'll also throw our emails in the chat here. So, you guys give me a second here. Okay, sorry, I know it's not full screen here, but these are the representatives within, thank you, Alexa, there's her emails. These are the representatives within your area, within your region, right? These are your education experts that can help you with all curriculum questions you have. Maybe you have questions about access, maybe you have feedback for me, or you have feedback for I-CAR in general. Everybody's shown here, and I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this and put it in the chat. These are your I-CAR representatives, your regional principals. They are the best people to reach out to with feedback. And then my email and Alexa, our email is there as well. You can also contact us directly. But if you have additional questions on pre-apprenticeship, or maybe you're interested in purchasing additional curriculum, like the extended curriculum for your program, or renewals are coming up, you have questions, you can connect with your regional principals who are in the chat there.
And Joey, when would they contact the general account, the schools at I-CAR.com? What situation would they contact them versus their the principal?
Great question. So if you're having technical issues, so maybe a student's having issues with a course, maybe they passed it and it was stuck for some reason, or you don't see a page refreshing, or trying to think of other scenarios here. Maybe you want to add a new educator to your account, or you're having issues removing students, anything to do with your roster, the academy.schools@icar.com email is your customer care support representative. So great question, Melissa. So maybe you have a new educator at your school and you want to add that educator to the roster to get access. That's something you would reach out to academy.schools@icar.com. If you have feedback about a new feature or something like that, you can reach out to your regional principals and let them know. If you're ready to renew, you can reach out to regional principals as well to help you with that. But more technical content, like any issues you have or adding or removing any users to your account, that would be the academy.schools@icar.com email there. Great question, Melissa. Thank you.
And I just would love to tie this back to CREF because I know we work very closely together. So the I-CAR Academy curriculum is actually tied into our benchmark, the CREF benchmark grant itself. The tool list that if you've started the process, the tool list that you do right after the survey and before the benchmark application is actually based on the tools needed for the I-CAR curriculum itself. And I'm sure Joey can explain a little bit more if you have any questions, but it does tie into that. So the goal is that, we can help you, CREF can help you get the tools that you need so you can teach the curriculum properly and have all the resources available, through the grant if you don't already have it. So that is a great tie-in. Also, if you can't afford the curriculum, I definitely recommend that you apply for our benchmark grant as well and include it as one of your items on there. We do have a limited amount of curriculum grants available to distribute, so we can't guarantee one, but we do have some available. And if you do happen to win the grant, you would win the items on your wish list. So definitely, if there is money an issue, please do the grant application and put curriculum down as one of your items, and you have a great chance of getting it. Let's see, we have a few questions. How do shops know to get on the program?
So sorry, Jason, I'm not sure I understand that question exactly, but shops do have access to, so you guys, we have the I-CAR Academy curriculum. Shops can also deliver that for entry-level technicians. We have information on our I-CAR website. So if shops go to icar.com, they can see additional information about that. On that Collision Careers website, if that's what you're referring to, Jason, shops can actually go in there and create profiles themselves. So we send them information. They take some courses on how to build a profile and market their shop, and then they actually can build a profile themselves. Let's see. Fred has a question about creating notes, study guides, or reference material. I will cover that in 1 second. Let me get to Stephen's question. Hey, Stephen. So Stephen, good question. Is there an extra charge for schools to have access to the pre-apprenticeship program? No, there's no cost associated to that at all. There will be an application process for us to talk to you, the schools, and if you qualify, being a high school program that currently delivers the I-CAR Academy curriculum, we will just provide you access to the pre-apprenticeship badge for your students. There's no additional costs. So that's a great question. Fred, okay. Fred, maybe we can discuss this on the side and I can answer your question more in depth here. You mentioned study guides and reference material. So I'm going to actually share my screen again, if it's okay, Melissa, if I have time. Let's see. All right, 1 second. I'm just going to log in here and then I'll share my screen. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here, go back to this. All right, so we will select a student here. All right, so I just want to show that the available resources for educators, right? So within each badge, there's lessons, and then each lesson has resources for the educator themselves. So you mentioned study guides and reference material. If I go to files on the lesson, and then I go to instructor files, these are all the resources that an educator will need to teach the lesson. So if I open this up here, first of all, there's the instructor guide. This is a thorough guide on how to teach the lesson. It goes through everything like what are the learning outcomes and objectives, what materials do you need to teach this, how do you prep the classroom, what are you going to do for lecture, how much time each item can take in lecture. It's a very thorough breakdown of the lesson, and that's for educators. So you can see it's a few pages here. It tells you how much time to take on each item and everything they need to know. There's also a grading rubric for each lesson, and then the quizzes as well. If you have lessons that have, so that was accessing vehicle service information, right? Not a very hands-on lesson. If we go to something like jump starting and 12-volt battery charging, we go to instructor files, there's even additional resources for educators with the hands-on content. So here's a worksheet, right? Okay, students, print this out, number your items here. There's an answer key. There's additional worksheets for students to print this out or have it on their computer or tablet and take it out to the shop and actually do some practice. Then for those that have a skill evaluation, a hands-on assessment, there's a rubric for that as well. So once again, if you go into I-CAR Academy and then you go to the lesson and you select instructor files, there's everything, all the resources an educator needs there. And then Fred, you can contact my email that Alexa put in the chat there if you have any additional questions. I'll stop sharing again. Thank you. Hopefully I answered everybody's questions there.
Joey, can you just talk about what kind of car requirements that they, I know it's part of our benchmark application to have newer cars. Can you talk about the car requirements for the curriculum and the benefits of having, newer model vehicles?
So a lot of the content, it's really important at I-CAR to provide curriculum that is modern, right? Because these students are going to go into shops and they're going to be working on modern vehicles. We know 2018 and up, they have backup cameras, right? We know ADAS is becoming more and more important on cars. You can't buy a car without an ADAS component. So with the requirements that we have, and we want to have vehicles that have this more relevant content for ADAS and things of that nature. Melissa, I don't have I can pull up the CREF website if we have, I don't know if you have it in front of you, the exact requirements for the benchmark. I could pull it up as well. I don't remember at the top of my head.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is again tied to the curriculum. So to have cars 10 years, 7 to 10 years or newer, is very important, and to be able to teach the curriculum. And again, it's on the benchmark application as well. If that is something you are in need of, again, you can put it on there as well. So The tools are probably the item that is the biggest challenge for any school. And on every year's grant application, that's typically the thing that the school is lacking, to have all of the tools needed to properly teach it. So that's what that tool list is. There are some other requirements, but they are those two are probably the biggest constraint for these schools to be able to teach it. So, hence the reason why we are partnering with I-CAR to be able to, alleviate some of that pressure on the schools and get them exactly what they need to teach.
Thank you for providing most of the exact vehicle requirements. Yeah, and as far as the tools, we have a pretty extensive tool list of all the tools needed to teach the curriculum. That's available on the I-CAR Academy website, and then we can actually share that out. Melissa, maybe I'll share that out with you, the tool list we have listed out, and then we can share that with the schools. Or maybe if I have time, I can put it in the chat. I don't know how big of a file I can put in there.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd happy to send it out.
Perfect. Okay, awesome.
And Joey and Alexa, thank you again very much for your time and for sharing your information with our group.